G'day folks, Wes here from Real Estate Geelong, sitting in with Jason Feldman. Jason was a vendor of mine in Herne Hill, and so a recent property that we sold, and so appreciate the time to just touch base on that if we can.
Yeah, pleasure.
Well, if you can, throughout the process, just say it as it is, mate. So if there's something that you think we should do better, then I want to know that. At the same time, as I say, if you could, I really what I want to share with people is the process that we went through with yours, because we did identify a few things that we wanted to make sure that we got done to maximise the result. If we can just cover off on that, just a couple of questions around that would be great.
Sure.
Okay, so when I first met you guys and had a look at your property, you'd already had some other agents through.
Oh, we had probably a good 5 or 6 through.
Yeah.
Maybe even more at that stage.
So that experience that you had with those agents, and then obviously I came through the property and had a look at the property, but we'd met at another one of the properties that I had.
At Teesdale.
Teesdale, yeah. So that experience that you'd had so far with the other agents and what they were sort of saying, or like how was that, and why all of a sudden did you think, well, okay, I'll get Wes to have a look?
Without being too discriminative against them, as soon as they walk away, you just know that it was just all smoke and mirrors. They were just trying to tell you what you wanted to hear at the time. There was a couple that we got to put down on paper because we thought they're okay. We like what they're saying and how they're going to deal with it. Once we got it down on paper from them, and then the price would change by $50,000 or $60,000 less to what they were telling us. So that was not the best outcome at all.
Sign number one, in a sense, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like, and that's unfortunately what goes on. So they're going to tell you what you want to hear, whereas that is absolutely not my way of work. And why I don't work that way, and why I can actually I can't work that way, is because all of mine is analysis of the property and mathematical, attention to detail to find out what the property's worth. So I don't guess it.
Well, it always stayed with me. The first conversation we ever had, one of the things you said, the numbers don't lie.
Yeah.
And that's how everything was based.
Yeah.
So it was all there in black and white.
Yeah, so the numbers don't lie. So I work on numbers to look at where it sits right now, and I look at then the numbers of what we need to do to the property. Then I look at the numbers of what that would get us if we actually spent X dollars on getting on that type of repairs or fix up. And then I look at the numbers of emotionally where I can take someone above that, because the base numbers are the base numbers, and it's the only way you can compare properties is to pull all the parts apart. So everything,
Yep.
House size, land size, orientation, types of construction, type of roofing, type of fixtures and fitting inside, type of external finishes, paving, no paving, grass, not grass, sheds, cubby houses, pools, whatever it is, you've got to pull all the pieces apart and then we come up with it. And that's what I did with yours. And so I was able to sort of tell you where I felt it was. And I don't know whether that actually, and I've never asked the question, whether that was actually less than what the other ones were saying or it was more than what the other ones were saying. Can you remember roughly?
I can't remember what you first said about it.
I projected it with the numbers mathematically at around the 525, 530, 5 to 40.
Yeah, it was just above average.
Yeah. So, but again, I had solid analysis, not just RP data, handful of properties. I've got a full spreadsheet which takes in every piece of the information from all the properties, and it takes a couple of days to do. So I was able to come down, sit down there with you with that, and then just say, well, listen, this is why it sits here. This is not me telling you something you want to hear. So this is something that you need to understand.
Yep.
It's mathematically. Okay. So then what do? Okay. So we identified some issues. It's wrong to say there was no street appeal, because there is. The house was great. The house was solid. It's been there for
20 years.
Yeah, so it was fantastic. The landscaping in the front needed to be sorted. Yeah, it was tiered,
and
weedy.
not very well.
Yeah, and it was sort of rolling, sort of almost like a corrugated type, and it was useless for anything.
Yeah.
And no gardens and things. So it instantly took your eyes to there. Now, and then we went out the back. We had a bigger issue.
A big hole where a pool used to be.
Yeah, and it was all weedy, and it was really a great spot for the dogs to run around, but it was no good. Kids couldn't use it. No. So
it was just an eyesore.
Yeah, and you had the cubby house in the corner, which you could see as you come up the drive, and that was multicolours, which is fine because multicolours looks great, but not when you're selling. Yeah, because it attracts your eye to it, and then you start to look at all those elements around it. And of course, the fence wasn't in great order, so it was starting to deteriorate. It had been there for a long time, so it was aged. And so we needed to sort that. One fence on one boundary was starting to lean because of the trees and things on the other side, which you couldn't touch. Neighbours wouldn't let you touch.
It was the neighbours' trees and they refused to do anything with them.
Yeah, so you couldn't just go and lop them off. So that was the other side of the problem. And then, so that whole back area, there's about 150 odd square metres in the back. There's about 200 odd metres in the front, actually, because we ended up putting in 350 square metres of instant turf.
Yep.
Yeah. Now, before we did the instant turf, though, of course, you got together some pricing. You've got the quote with you, which was about 30 grand of work, which we said to you, if in a perfect world, this is the sort of stuff we'd like to do. If you got someone who said, yep, I said, we'll get them to quote it for you, and they came back and it was 30 grand, yeah?
Yep. Well, 31 actually.
31. So there's about 12.5 grand's worth of decking, 45 square metres of decking. So they priced it $300 a square metre, which I said is too much. Yeah. They had synthetic grass down, which we get because it was going to be simple and quick, but that was another 12.5 grand. Mm-hmm. And there was about $2,500 worth of plants and bits and pieces around there, and a bit of Lilydale toppings. So
and that was just the backyard.
Backyard only.
Yeah.
So 200 square metres at the front, which looked crap, not included.
Yep.
So realistically, they could have easily, when you look at the front section as well as 200, so there's another 2, so you could have spent another 3 grand easily, plus some trees, 3 or 4 grand on the front. So it could have been a 35, 36 grand. So if we did put that work into it, because my concern is that the house, if we put the deck on, you still haven't got the access to the deck, which meant we had to do French doors at the back.
Yep.
Yeah, which we could have done because you had a window there, but it would have meant more money. Pull that out, put new doors in, which was a few grand. But we still needed then to really update the kitchen, bathroom and laundry areas, the wet areas, and tiling throughout, because that was the older style.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's my concern. So I didn't suggest that we did that work. My suggestion was that we then get rid of the synthetic grass, put instant turf down because it's cheaper, get family and friends in to help and get it all laid.
Allegedly.
Allegedly. That was the plan.
It was a plan.
It was a plan up until 7 o'clock that day when all of the stuff arrived on site, 350 metres of grass, and it's just you and I and
Susan. Yeah.
And like, it was just full on, wasn't it?
It was horrendous.
Yeah, it was a massive day. So, but anyway, we got through that. We got it all laid, and within 1 week or 2 weeks of that, it just looked sensational because it was just looked like it was.
You just sort of look back and think every blister and ache and pain was well worth it.
Yeah, didn't instantly add appeal.
Yeah.
Yeah, simple fix, not a lot of money, days labour for 3 people to put down, so 100 metres each. You'd have more people if you were smarter, but it just didn't happen that way. So the plan didn't work out. But then we wanted to make the grass pop, didn't we? So part of what we suggested was if you put a dark colour on the fence, you don't leave it grey, you're going to lose the fact that it's not really, it's a bit deteriorated, but it means that it makes the green jump. Did it do that?
Oh, absolutely.
And then of course you got carried away and did the cubby. No, you didn't. We actually said lose the colours on the cubby, so you did the cubby at the same time.
Yep.
Yeah.
Which was amazing because it just hit it from the street apart from the red slide.
Yeah. Yeah. So, which was perfect. And then down that side fence, we framed a section across in front of that fence to screen it off and put some bamboo down. And so that meant that that worked out a treat, apart from a couple of times when the dogs decided they just wanted to eat the bamboo.
Getting to the dogs next door.
There's always something. And then some garden strips, didn't we? Put a few garden strips.
And it just looked fantastic.
Yeah. Look a treat, bit of mulch on those, and it just, the whole backyard transformed. It was all of a sudden a big family area.
Yeah, the black fence against the green grass, it was just amazing to walk out the backyard and you go, wow, this looks fantastic.
Yeah. So